Alright, today I'm going to give you guys a detailed look at this Optimus Prime from Threea, and here's the instruction pamphlet. It tells you that there are quite a few pieces you need to put together. Here it shows where the batteries are housed. There are two AG-13 on its head, and it is held on by magnet. And then there's the button on the back, and then back canister, you can open that up and put two batteries in. Same thing, AG-13 to light up his chest. And then the tires, how they're applied, and two butt plates. You need to attach those as well. And yeah, so oh, and also the doors. You need to apply those as well. And yeah, so let's take a look at the figure and the accessories. Alright, so if you bought the exclusive version from Bambaland, then you will have this weapon. This is a massive gun, which he only used in the film for once, I think. This is based off of the Dark of the Moon version of Prime. And this gun, yeah, he used it once. When was it? I think towards the end, where he shot one of those vehicles that a bunch of the humans were trying to get into the city, and then yeah, basically Prime shot that vehicle once, and that was it with this weapon. And then he comes with two swords. Here's one of them, and this I guess you would call it a robot version of a brass knuckle. And here it is. He used this to take out Shockwave. So yeah. And then here's the cap for the other sword. It comes with two swords, and yeah, you could remove this cap so you could slide it up onto his forearm. Alright, first I want to show you guys how tall Optimus Prime really is. He's about 19 inches in height if you're counting all the antennas and stuff. He's about 19 inches, and here he is standing next to a 12-inch figure, and you can see it goes up to about his waist, and that's it. So yeah, really tall. Alright, so here again, it's Optimus Prime, and I have to say this is by far one of my favorite figure that I own. Because he is so massive, and yet the detailing on him is just amazing. And yeah, the paint job is great. I have no complaints whatsoever about this figure. And here's a kind of a side view of him. And here I got the sword attached to his forearm. Even though he didn't do it this way in the film, in the Dark of the Moon. He was holding the sword the whole time. It wasn't coming out of his forearm or anything. And here's the backside of Prime. And if you look closely, you kind of see there are some chrome-plated pieces, like these two canisters back here, and then the ones on the shoulder, and then the tires. Those rims are chromed. But everything else is just painted silver or metallic silver, metallic blue, and metallic red. Now if I look at him straight on, his head does look a little smaller than it's supposed to be. I'm not sure if that's correct or not, but to me it does look a little bit small. And initially, when I first saw photos, I thought those eyes were kind of weird. How the eyelids are actually wider apart than they're supposed to be. But in person, you zoom in a little bit. You kind of see those eyes are pretty good. I don't think I have an issue with them. And yeah. And let's get a closer look at some of the detailing on him. There's a lot of stuff going on with this figure. A lot of weathering and all these metallic paint. It looks absolutely amazing. really well done. Look at that chest. There are a lot of moving parts, like these doors are on a ball joint, and then same with this rib cage piece. It's also attached to the body with the ball joint, and then here this these piston piece is also attached to them via ball joint, and same with these two. I don't even know what these are, but they're attached to them via ball joint. Absolutely gorgeous. Look at all those weathering and the paint job. Threea did an amazing job with this guy. Alright, then here's the butt plate. I took it out just to show you guys. Here's the slot where you're supposed to attach to his backside right here. And then here you can see there's a little peg that's sticking out. It's supposed to go into there. But, well, I just don't know why they couldn't make this rod a little longer so it sits in there better. Because right now it's barely sitting in there. So if you try to move him too much, yeah, you're gonna knock that piece right off. But yeah, I just wonder why this thing is so short. They could have made it longer so it slides in there properly, but yeah, that's one thing I'm complaining about. Okay, and in the instruction it says that his hips can be pulled out a little bit. Here I pulled out the side, so it gives him a bit of better range of motion, and here it is collapsed in. And here you can see the hips. You could go up to about 90 degrees, which is quite a lot for something this big and something this bulky. Yeah, it doesn't really impede with the articulation until you get up to about 90 degrees where the plates are kind of hitting each other. And as far as the knees, it could go down to about 90 degrees as well. So, which is really impressive for something this big and bulky. Alright, so let's go over the articulation, and here you can see the head is on a ball joint, but you can see underneath his chin there's a piece protruding out, and then also the base of the neck, it kind of flares out a little bit, so that impedes with the articulation quite a bit. So he can't really look down too well because that piece does get in the way. In the future I might shave that piece down or something just to give him a better range of motion, but for now I'm just gonna leave it as is until I mess with it a little longer. Then maybe I'll do something about it. And then here on the shoulder he has butterfly joints. Here you can see it kind of sticks. You can have him move forward a little bit. Not too much. It only has 3 clicks. One for forward, one for the middle. Let's see if I can push it back. One for the middle, and then one all the way back. Kind of hear it click. So yeah, there's the joint right there. And then the shoulders are on the ball hinge, and these are all ratcheting joints. But when you're trying to move the arm forward and back, like moving forward and back, one thing you want to do is that make sure you hold on to this shoulder blade piece, because there's nothing attached to the bottom. The only thing that's holding this whole piece together is that one little piece of plastic right in there. Not sure if you guys can see it, but that piece is the only thing that's holding this shoulder up. So if you're moving the arm, like usually when you move, you just hold his hand and then move forward. I wouldn't recommend that. I would recommend you holding this piece and then moving the arms, because these joints are really stiff. Alright, and then bicep, there is a swivel joint, rotating joint, but it is very stiff, so you gotta be really careful. I would hold on to the shoulder pad before I move the bicep piece. And as far as the elbow, it's a hinge joint, and it goes up to about 90 degrees, and that's about it. And then you can see the wrists are on the ball joint, and then articulated fingers. And his waists are on the ball joint, so you can rotate them sideways, forward, and back, whichever way you want. You can see not really too much forward, because that piece does get in the way, and then we'll arch back a little bit. Not that much. I can't really see it, but it is in there. There is a ball joint. And then hips, I already showed you guys, it's a ball hinge joint. And then hinge knees and ball jointed ankles, which is down here somewhere. It's really hard to see, but it is in there. But with that ball joint, these pieces right up here up front, this blue piece does get in the way, so gotta maneuver him somehow in order for him to have his feet stable on the ground, flat on the ground. And then toes, this front section has a ball joint right there as well. Or is it a hinge joint? I think it's a... yeah, it's a... no, it looks to be just a hinge joint. It could only move up and down a little bit. Here, let me see if I can maneuver that a little bit. Yeah, just about up and down, just a little bit. That's about it. And when I first got this figure, another issue I had was this piece right here. This piece of plastic right here. It was sticking out quite a bit. It wasn't even on both sides. So I was able to slide this whole piece out because it wasn't glued on or anything. I could actually slide this whole piece out and then reattach it to push it all the way in. So now it's even on both sides. Okay, I just realized the pieces that are impeding with his articulation are these two collar pieces, these two right here, because he could look down quite a bit when he's looking straight down, because there's nothing here that's blocking it. But when you turn his head to about this angle, he won't be able to look down anymore, because this collar piece does get in the way of the bottom of his chin right here, that piece. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't think I want to remove that piece though, because it is very noticeable. Alright, so to attach your batteries, here it is. Basically I took the cap off of this piece right here, and then put in two batteries, and then there's a button right here. You need to push it in, then the lights will go on. And then the head, you need to remove the top piece. And this piece is held on by a magnet, and one thing you gotta be really careful about are those two antennas. You don't want to break them, and yeah, that would have been bad. And then here you can see the batteries are up there, and then the button is just on the back of his head, this circular piece. Just need to press that, and his lights will come on. And here's Prime with the lights on. These aren't like super bright or anything, but they're on. And here you can see the eyes are so tiny. You can barely see them, but yeah, right there, those are on. He definitely looks better with the lights on. You could clearly see his eyes. And there's the rest of them again. Here you can see with this weapon on the grip here, there are two pegs, one on each side. So, and on his hand, you can see there's a peg hole right there, which is where you attach the gun to, because otherwise he won't be able to hold it properly. And same thing on the side. And here I got Prime holding onto his weapon right there. You can see that's a big ass weapon. And here he could grip it very nicely with his thumb and three fingers, and then here one on the trigger, which is awesome. Yeah, he could hold this firmly. And if you want him to hold his weapon sticking out, then you're gonna have to balance him a little bit around the waist and around the legs. and for him to balance out. Otherwise he's gonna topple over, because the gun is pretty big. But even though the gun is not heavy or anything, but still it gives a lot of weight. The wrist, you can see it's not really handling the weight of the gun. So it's kind of drooping down a little bit. So you got to compensate with the elbows and somehow the body, just so he could be he'll look somewhat decent while holding the gun straight forward. And here's a shot of him looking forward, well, pointing his gun. Alright, and here's a somewhat of a dynamic pose that you could give him. You can see his legs are totally spread apart, and then knees are bent, and he's getting ready to kill someone with his swords right there. But you can see this foot, that ball joint doesn't work too well. It's kind of blocked by all these armor pieces, so his foot can't be flat on the ground, which kind of disappointing. It could only move a little bit, so yeah, this side is fine, but over on this side he's not gonna be able to, his foot can't lay flat. But yeah, here's just an example of how articulated he is as far as something this big and this bulky. And here's that brass knuckle thing, and you can see there are two slots right there, and then you can slot it through his hand. The top of his hand nicely, and just like so, right there. And here's a size comparison between him, Optimus Prime, and Bumblebee. And as you can see, Bumblebee is about 15? I think it's about, yeah, 15 inches in height, and there he is standing next to Prime. And are they to scale? Prime might be a little bit short, or Bumblebee might be a little bit big, but yeah, that's how they all look together. And here's Prime with Megatron. Now, they are the same height, and that's only because I made the mod to Megatron's knees. If you didn't make that mod, then they're not gonna be exactly the same height. Prime is gonna be a little bit taller. Let me see if I could fix it. Here it is. Without that mod, then he's gonna be Prime's gonna be a little bit taller than Megatron. But if you did the mod on the knees, then he's gonna be exactly the same height as Prime. And the mod I'm talking about is the knee right here. Basically, I took a chunk out of his knee here, and in order for him to have another click to his knees, because these are ratcheting joints, and once you get to this point, it is basically stuck. Let's see, I think about like right there is where it stops, because that peg down there, I'm sure you guys can't see. It's wait, let me see if I could fix it. Alright, here you can see I took out this whole, where is it? I took out this whole chunk right here, because the peg, it goes up to all the way about right here, and so that's why his knees are constantly at a angle. So I was able to let's see, what did I do? I heat up an X-Acto knife and melt this whole section off, and then use the plier to remove this whole chunk. And then now he has an extra click to his knees, so his legs are actually straight on my figure than on the regular retail version. So with that mod, you can see he is standing pretty straight for the most part. Let's see, rotate him back a little bit. See those legs, that knee joint. So yeah, so he's standing like that. And at the end of the day, is this guy worth getting? I say heck yeah. He is expensive though. He's gonna set you back about 430 bucks. I got it off Bamboland, so I saved on shipping and tax. So, because if I've gotten it off Sideshow, I would have to pay those. But for the most part, yeah, I think it's worth it because I always wanted a really good looking Prime. It doesn't have to be transformable, but something that he looks movie accurate instead of the Hasbro ones where he has a giant backpack here and there, which makes him kind of unappealing to me. So I'm very happy with a robot version of this Optimus Prime without him being able to transform. Again, I'm fine with that. So yeah, there you go. There's 3A Optimus Prime. Thanks for watching.